Good morning, and welcome to this week on authentication. Should be an easy one for you. It's going to give you a chance to go and practice your React. Remember, you haven't been doing React for a couple of weeks, so this week take some time to practice. You're going to have extra time. It's a cool week because in the morning, if you work together with me, the project that we build together in the morning is the solution for the afternoon challenge. That means that you're going to have extra time, right? This is what I mean when I say time to practice React, practice building backends for take some of the projects that you built in the front end weeks and just build backend for them, including the database. So that's going to let you practice middleware, practice routing, practice dealing with the database, maybe doing some joins. So this is a good week for you to kind of get ready to make the jump to full stack web developer. Practice more, practice, practice, practice. Okay? So let's talk about the week. The week is going to have, we're going to do a quick introduction today to authentication, and then we're going to see how to do that using something called sessions and cookies. That's tomorrow. And then the day after that, we're going to see how to use tokens, which is another way of persisting authentication data across requests. And then at the end of the week, we have testing the backend. Now, your TLs have told me, so I'm going to believe them because, they're trustworthy people. So they have told me that we may benefit from doing, a 15, 20, 30 minutes review on the basics of unit testing, like testing a simple function outside of the realm of React or even the backend. So I want to stick a little bit of simple testing, unit testing of functions of pure logic as part of the week before we get to testing the backend, okay? So watch out for that. That means that content is not going to be on Training Kit, because I know there's going to be some feedback that's going to say, oh, we cover something in lecture that is not on Training Kit. It's not. It's just that your TLs, and I agree with them, think that since you haven't been doing testing for a while, doing that small review, like as part of the class, like reviewing how to test a function here, test a function there, even if it's not on Training Kit, would benefit you. Okay? So please don't give me feedback saying they covered something in lecture that was not on Training Kit. That's the reason. You're warned. All right, that's it. So let's go into authentication. There is a little bit of reading that you could do, right? You could also watch some of the videos here. But in the core for today, what we want to do is how can we safely store username and password? Basically the password for the user. We're not going to go into auth or using third-party services, none of that. That's up to you. You're going to practice that later, depending on what service your company is using. So this week is username and password. We're going to learn the basics, the mechanics, how to use middleware as part of the authentication workflow to give you an understanding of how those other libraries work underneath. And then auth is something that you definitely want to look into later, right? But it's just outside of the scope of the week. So what are we going to learn today? What the difference between authentication and authorization, some ideas that we need to take into account when thinking about passwords, how to hash a password before saving it to the database. Someone is probably suffering with that small letters there. There you go, small font. Also, we're going to see how to verify those passwords using a library called Decrypt and write some middleware to verify that the credentials are good, okay? So basically, we're going to implement a basic workflow of you can register a user, and then you can log in with that user. And the whole idea of having users and registering users is so that we can protect an endpoint or a set of endpoints. So we want to have some endpoints that you can just access, anybody can access, like be able to register is one of those, be able to log in. But we have a list of users that we're going to show, and we're going to say, okay, this part of the application is protected. You have to be logged in order to use it. That's the whole point, right, of the week. Providing that you have to be logged in, I need to know who you are before you can access this resource. Okay, so again, read about some of this stuff, right, on your own. But when thinking about if you have to, hopefully you never have to store passwords, but if you do have to store passwords, just make sure that you're not storing passwords in plain text. There is a whole website, this link is on Training Kit. There's a whole website devoted to shaming and actually call attention to people that store passwords in a way that can be retrieved. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's plain text, but it's in a way that anybody could get, you know, if someone gets a hold of the database, they're going to be able to see your password to grab it. So don't let your systems show up in there. At the end of the day, what you need to know is if you are storing users' passwords, you have to hash them. And the process of hashing a password means that you're going to take a plain text password and you're going to turn it into a fixed length string with, you know, a whole bunch of random characters in it. Okay? There are libraries built into Node that could help you do that, but there are libraries, JavaScript libraries, that are specifically designed to do that. One of them is called bcrypt.js. We're going to use that just because, you know, 500,000 downloads a week. It's a pretty solid library. It's been around for a while. There are a couple. There's bcrypt and there's bcrypt.js. I'm using this because at some point in one lecture, bcrypt broke. So I switched to this. This never broke. So, but they all basically built on top of the same algorithms and technology. So pick whatever you want. There are two newer strategies for hashing passwords that you may find out there. They just haven't, they're not as popular yet, so we're still gonna stick to bcrypt for now. Okay, but there are other ways there are new technologies that you can use to obfuscate, let's say, the password information before it's stored in the database. Long-winded way of saying you have to hash the passwords, okay? People hash the passwords. Even Google says that. There's a link, also on Training Kit, about best practices for user account. Look, number one from the Google engineer team, security team, the number one is please hash the passwords. So that's what we're gonna do today. Okay, we're gonna use this library called bcrypt.js, there it is. Then we're gonna use it in order to hash a password, okay? You're probably gonna do some practice by yourself to see how that's done. If you want to learn a little more about security, again, I'm just showing you links that I already have on Training Kit. This is pretty cool because security community, they do, this is always like a year or two behind, but they have this thing called top 10. And this is of all the breaches over the past X months, what are the top 10 causes of, you know, security malfunctions for applications where users or you know, malicious users get access to users' data? And they assemble this top 10 list. And you'll see that SQL injection is one of those. Don't worry about it. If use connects, you are protected against that. But then broken authentication. So please give it a read. If that's something that you definitely want to read it, at least to have an idea and see if something calls your eye. Okay, so again, links on Training Kit. Same thing with the 12 practices for user accounts. Just give it a read. The link is on Training Kit. Now, before we learn how to hash the password, I want you to think from the point of view of you being a user and helping your users and family pick better passwords. The TLDR is long passwords are better. So this site, again, link is also on Training Kit. This site, if you type a password, any password, it's gonna tell you like how long before users could potentially find your password. Okay, yeah, it takes no effort at all if this is your password. So the idea here is adding a couple of things, having special characters makes it a little harder as long as you can. Personally though, I use this. I use a password manager that I pay $60 a year or something for my family. Everybody in the family can use it. Well, 5 people, I think it is. So find a way so that you do not want to use the same password twice, ever. Because you're using the same password in 2 different places and one of those gets compromised. Now, potentially they can get access to your other account because they found your password in one account If you repeat that password, they're gonna go and check your email, they're gonna go and check your bank accounts to see if you're repeating the same password. So never repeat a password, and always make the password really long. Does that mean that the password has to be some weird thing? If you don't have a password manager, find phrases that you like, okay? Find paragraph from poetry that you like, something that only you know about. Only you know that you really like that passage that you read somewhere in a book or on a song, or maybe the first words that your child used to say, you know, first funny things. So you can make that, including the spaces or dots or dashes, okay? But by far, the best thing you could do is use a password manager. There is one built into the browser. The thing is that if you use something like that, it's just going to work on that browser. But having a paid for services like that, one of those, there are quite a few. Paid for services means that you could use it across all your devices, including your mobile devices. Okay. Now, that's when it comes to password. Long password, never repeat them. And if any service will provide multi-factor authentication, yes, you want to turn it on. It is an annoyance, yes, but it's gonna keep you safe. Everywhere there is two-factor authentication, I will always turn it on and say, okay, anybody wants to log into my account, they have to know, they need to know my username and password, but they also need to have my device. Okay, and being able to unlock it to see what the message was. So something that you know combined with something that you have is the best that we can do right now for security. Cool? And that's all I have to say about that. Questions? All right. So if you clone the repository before this morning when I posted that message there, you may have an older version of the project, but it's basically the same. I just broke it down. And I have routers. Instead of having everything on I think it was on server or index.js before, I just broke it down into routers so that it's a little more organized for the lecture, okay? Like that, probably, yeah. Let's see. That may be good. So here's what we got. This is the server, okay? So that's the project, that's the guided project for today. If you don't have it this way, you could just real quick clone it, reclone it again, and you'll get this latest version that has everything broken down into pieces like that. Yeah, those FIDO devices, they're good. I don't know if you say FIDO or FIDO, I don't know. So the server.js, all the server.js has, the way that it is structured now, because I don't want you to be surprised, all it's got is the API router, and saying everything that begins with API is going to use the API router, creates a server, and export it. That's all it does. Okay, now you're done. You're done with the server. One thing that is not there, oh, look, it's not there. Then I have to do a push. So const configure middleware. It's going to be required. And inside of the same folder, there is this configure middleware thing that I forgot to import. And then after we create that, we're going to configure the middleware, passing it the server. So basically now this is calling the configure middleware that happens to be here. And this configure middleware is going to take the server and configure all the middleware. Why is that extracted away now? Because my server is super clean. I know that I'm creating the server, configuring the middleware, and using this router for my API. That's it, super clean. If you don't have to come in here unless you're changing something on the way that you assemble your server. Maybe you have another router for the admin section. Maybe you have another router for clients that is separate from the API. And now the middleware, anything related to, I need to configure some middleware that is global. Well, configure middleware. You open this in here, you add your middleware here, and then configure it. And this just exports a function, takes the server, and configures the middleware for you. So by the time you get to the router, middleware is configured. So after that, you have the API router, and the API router is simple, right? Also, it's just saying, you know, if you need to go to /API/auth, then use the auth router. If you go to /API/users, then go to the users router. And of course, if you go /API, then you get your sanity check message saying, yeah, server is good, it's running. Cool. Nothing fancy other than I'm nesting routers now. So I have /API router. Let me open this one here. So you see the API router. See, this one is going to answer anything for /API. And then when you go to /API/auth, then this is the guy that is going to answer, right? From the API router. Oops. From the API router, /API/auth, it's just going to go into the auth router. Now the auth router, have this on the right. That's what I meant to do. The auth router is going to have a register and a login. And this is where we register our users and log in. Of course, we're going to implement this and we're going to find a way to hash our passwords inside in here before we save it to the database. This is using the users model to create a user, right? When the user registers, you're going to create a user. And it's using the users model for when you're trying to log in. Questions so far? Since we're not going to be changing the way that the routing works up until this point, you can close this and concentrate only on the auth router. This is the only thing that we care about. We're going to be making changes here for now. Just redo the clone. All the server is doing, you have the code. It's the same code. It's just bringing in the router for the API and configuring the middleware. So if you recloned now, let me add this here. There you go. So you have the middleware configure. Cool. Hopefully that works. let's try that. npm run server. Let's see if that's working. Let's go to API, and yeah, the API is live. That's what we should be seeing. So changes to the server, just import this and run it there. Let me see. Let's configure middleware. Let's do a commit for this because we are good citizens, right? So git push ls master. I will push it to the Lambda School repository. Push origin master to my fork. Excellent. So there is a question. I understand why we're doing the register to create a user, but I have no idea why we're doing a login so that I can log into the system. Why is it a post? Because you need to send data on the body of the request. You definitely don't want to send your username and password over the URL, so it cannot be a query string parameter. You could use headers. That is a possibility. But the simplest way, and normally how you see it implemented, is just having a post to log in so that you could send the username and password as part of the body. Good question. Okay, let's cover the first part of today. The first part of today is we are registering a user, but we are not hashing the password. How's that working? We're gonna have an exercise for you to do this, right? Instead, I want you to go and inside of the, let's make it on the API router. Inside of the API router, I want you to create a get. And this get is gonna be to /hash, okay? And the whole point of this is, maybe we should read it from the headers now. Let's make it a post to hash. Read a password from the body, hash the password, and then return it to the user in an object like this, right? The password, whatever was in the password, the original password, okay? And then a second argument called hash, and this is the hash password. It's not the string hash password, but the hash, okay? So your job is, you're gonna read the password, hash the password using bcrypt.js, okay? Read it from the body, hash it using bcrypt.js, and then return an object to the user that has the original password that they sent you, and then a property called hash that's gonna have the hash password. Let me copy this. This is what we're gonna implement, what you're gonna implement in your systems. And then when you're done, just do a commit and a push to your fork and drop a link to that commit in your TL group, please. Okay. So where can you go and read how to do that? Well, you join the company, you join my company, and it told you, hey, we use this library here. Please use that to hash your passwords. But I don't know how to do it. Yeah, well, here you go. You have the documentation there. Going to decline the cookies for this. And then down here, you see the way to use it. There's an async way and a sync way of taking a string. The password is going to be a string and producing a hash out of that string. Go. Let's take, what time is it? 10:25. Let's take 10 minutes for that exercise, unless everybody is done before that. So your TLs, they're gonna be watching your group, and if everybody in the group is done, they could drop a message here on the main thread, or we could do a poly. Let's do a poly. So please start working on it. There's nothing on the code that I haven't posted on Slack. The one at 10:20 is what's on server.js, and then the router, the comment that I have right above my link to bcrypt.js has this code, so that you have like the instructions for it. So don't worry, you haven't missed anything yet. I haven't done anything else. So that post is anonymous. If you're not working on it and you decide not to work on it, that's fine. You just have to do it by yourself in the afternoon. But if you're working on it now, you're gonna have the code already done for the afternoon project. So it's a win-win. Let me load the server code just in case too. Server.js. So you see both. There you go. That's better. But I think you could pause the video while we work on the exercise. You may not be done, that's fine. Do a commit, push that to your fork, and drop a link to that commit in your TL channels. Please, TLs, grab that list, because I want to know who's participating in the class with me. It's important, especially for this week. All right. It's going to give us an idea of, whether participating in class is helping you understand it better, right? Okay, so if I was doing this, of course, I'm going to read this stuff from the body right here. So it would be const. I'm going to read the password from the rec.body.password, let's say. Excellent. Now that I have that, that's the first step. I'm going to hash it. Ooh, I need a library. So let's go and install this library. npm I. Oh, look, something broke with my thing. Router. Yeah, that's not going to work. There's some router somewhere in there in the API. Router 13. Router. Pretty sure that you saw that. That's a typo. npm install bcrypt.js. I think that's the library. Once that is installed, if you go check out the documentation on the library, you'll see that it's got a method to turn a password into a hash, and you could do it synchronously or asynchronously, okay, depending on how your volume is. And then there's another one later that we're going to use to verify the password. So I'm going to use the one that's sync, but you could use the async, just pass the callback, and that's it. So const hash, it's going to be equal to, and again, we installed the library successfully, I think. Yep, it finished installing. So we're going to require up here. Crypt.js, there it is. Excellent. And now we could call bcrypt. And there is a hash bcrypt, a hash sync. That's the one that I'm going to use, so it's simpler. And it takes a credential. S is the string. It doesn't know that that is a password. It doesn't care. It's just a string, right? So I'm going to pass it the password. And then it takes, there are a couple of ways of calling this. The simplest way is to just call it and pass it in a number. And that number, it's what we call a number of rounds. And I want you to understand, there is a lot, to read about that stuff, but when it comes to using it, it's simple. Pass it a number as high as you can without making it too slow, okay? The idea behind this number is to slow down attackers from pre-generating hashes for all possible combination of characters. So imagine someone, since we're going to be hashing that password, and the hashing is supposed to be a one-way process, if someone breaks into a database of user information and the password is hashed, all they have is the hashes, right? So what attackers have been doing is they have been taking all possible combinations of characters with different hashing algorithms, with different parameters for that number, and pre-generate those hashes. So the slower the process of creating a hash is, the better it is to protect our users. Of course, we have quantum computing now, so I don't know, things are interesting, but the point of this number is how many times do you want the algorithm to rehash that password? So it's going to take the password, hash it, take the resulting hash and rehash it and rehash it and rehash it and rehash it a lot of times. So I'm going to start with a number at 8. So it's going to be super fast. You want to start at least, I think the number right now, it's 14. But you should go as high as you can on the server, because 14 on my computer is going to be slow. On a server, it's going to be instant. So you may be able to get 15 or 16 as the number there. Again, as high as you can without making it too slow. So test it on the production server to see how fast it is. So I'm gonna use that. So that's gonna give me back the hash. Now I'm just gonna return it to the user. I'm gonna say res dot status 200 JSON, an object that has the password and the hash. Okay, that's it, I think. So let's do a post and pass the password. Let's do a, this is to /API/hash. Get rid of the username because we don't need it for this thing. And let's pass a password of, you know, keep it secret, keep it safe. You go, send that. Then again, look at the hash. This is the hash that we got. I ran it once and I got this hash. Gonna run it again. Then got this hash. Let me do it here. And then I can close this now. So we run it twice with the same password, and look, we have different hashes for the same password. What does that mean? That means that even if an attacker gets a hold of all the hashes in the database, just because two users have the same password doesn't mean they're going to have the same hash. So it's not free. Okay, every time, for every password that they want to pre-calculate, they have to pre-calculate that password under the same conditions as this. In this library, does more. It does a process called salting, which is taking your password, adding a string, concatenate a string to it. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is a good idea to slow down the generation of the hashes anyways. So again, you could take a string, you could pass it to this process, and you can see the speed of this, right? Look at this. Boom, boom, super fast. Now, if I change this and make it, let's say 12, okay, 12, look at the speed now. And that is the same thing. Any attacker that steals this hash is gonna see that, oh, they're using, you know, bcrypt with 12 as the number of rounds. And it's not really 12, it's 2 to the 12, just so you know, it's a big number. But they have to, if they wanna get to this hash, figure out what the password, original password was, they're gonna have to run bcrypt with 12 rounds on all possible combination of characters. There's also, the salt is also part of this in here. So it is not easy for them to pre-calculate them. But, you know, they have their ways. The point is, the higher the number, the harder it is for anyone trying to pre-calculate hashes to pre-calculate them, because they're going to have to use the same number of rounds as you to arrive to this hash. How does my Insomnia has the password and hash in preview? You mean this? Oh, that's the response that I assembled. That's the exercise sending the password on the hash. Doesn't fit anyways. I'm returning it right here. Returning an object that has the password and the hash. That's why. Okay, so that was the exercise. And then we're gonna apply this same technique, but we're gonna apply it to our router, and then we're gonna take a break. Okay, so let me port this. I'm gonna say, oh, I'm gonna grab this, since we already have it there. And here we're saving a user. Okay, we're grabbing the information from the body, but in this case though, I wanna hash the password first. So we probably don't need this. We have the user information here, and then we're gonna create a hash by hashing the user, that password. And if this is confusing, we could say, you know, rec.body.password, but I want you to, let's call it credentials. Let's do that, credentials. Didn't realize I was using it in 3 places. So we read the credentials from the body, We can generate a hash out of the password on the credentials. And now we need to override, right, the credentials. That password is going to be equal now to the hash. So by the time we save the credentials, we save the user using those credentials, the password is already overridden with the hash. And that's it. Let's go test it out. I'm gonna go here into the register, pass in a user, Lisa. And Lisa has a password of pass. Send that. Oh, yeah, right. /API/auth/register. So auth. Totally forgot. Here we go. Boom. Oh, bcrypt. It's not imported. Ah! Should have imported it. This right here. At the top, we need bcrypt. We're going to be using bcrypt. There you go. Now we're cooking. The username and the password is, let's go now check our database. I happen to have my database loaded here. There you go. Look at the password. Nice. So the password is hashed as it should be. So again, back to the code, same as the hash, only that what we're doing is we grab that data. I don't like this. Okay. User information. Okay, here we go. We grab the user information from the body. Then we create a hash out of the password. And then we override the user information password with the hash. We no longer care at this point. Before we save it, we no longer care about the original password. We just care about the hash. That's the stuff that we need. And then we add that user using our model and then return it back. We're only returning the username and the ID. Is never a good idea to return the password, right? So let's go and create another user. We have Winnie, just because I'm looking at the Slack. Okay, excellent. Let's go and create another one. Who's before the Polly? Polly is before that. On Slack, send that. Now we have 3 users on our database. 3 users in our database. There you go. Lisa, Winnie, and Polly. And they all have the same password, but their passwords are different. So there's no way that anybody will know that those are exactly the same the same password 2 times. Okay, so please go do it and test it out by creating at least 1 user, and let me know, please, when you're done so that we could go take a break. Here's the code. It's not related to hash map. Someone at some point decided to call it a hash. And the hash is that string that you see right there. That is a big string of characters. They call it a hash. They take a string and turn it into that. It is not. It's confusing because sometimes we say hash referring to kind of something that is a key value pair like an object, but it is not the same thing. It's hash in this string right here. It's because of the algorithm. It's called the hashing algorithm that does that process. So confusing. I agree. Maybe I should call this hashed password. There you go. That's better. Oh, wait. That's not what I wanted to do. Hash. Sync. There you go. Readability. Thank you, Nicholas. You're now making my. I'm going to create a user for you just because you made my code better now. Nicholas. There you go. Now you're in the database. Remember to install Bigger.js and to require it up here. Install. I think I did have a typo here that says something like router or something at some point. I think it might have been here. So if you run into that error, just fix the typo. What if it's in the original? Let's check it out. Project. API router. No, it's not there. Only I did it. So good. Yep, broke myself. So would it matter if other people can see your encryption stuff on GitHub? Oh, they're not. If you mean the libraries that you're using, it doesn't matter. I mean, they always, if your code is in there, and it's gonna be there. Now, there will come a time though where we're gonna need something called a secret, and then that secret though, we're not gonna place that secret on GitHub. Guess what we're gonna do with it? What do you think we're gonna do with the secret? It's gonna be an environment variable. That's right. So that it is never pushed. It's gonna be on the environment. Anything that you don't want people to see, it's gotta be in the environment. If we were manually creating a salt, then we would have that on the environment. But in this case, we're letting the library just generate one randomly every time, which is great. So nothing to hide yet. Good question, Barry. I should have threaded that question. Let's see where we are. Anybody else? So we have 6 people still working. Are you having any problems with this 1, 2, 3 lines of code? What's confusing there? How to use the async method? Well, we could use that for the login, I guess. Just use the async. But just follow the example that you had on the website. I think from memory, I think is hash. I think that's the name of it. And then I think you have a callback function here that may have an error, like so. I think you have an error, and then you have the hash here. And I'm missing this. So I think that's how it works. So now instead of having this over here, this would be the hash password. Like so. You could check for the error too. And it works. SQL. I already have a user called Nicholas, so it's going to create who asked for this. This is important. It would be Joe. There you go. And it works. So the difference is that you now use a callback function that gets the hash password or an error as the first argument, and then you do your return in there. /API/auth/register. Cannot read password of undefined. On line 8. On reg.body, is reg.body undefined for you? Is this a post? And are you sending JSON as the post body? You also need to make sure that you have your configure middleware and it's reading the JSON body. Remember that change that we did to the server? We added this line, and then we added this other line. Okay, let's see a share. Let's see if we can solve those. I like to take a break. I mean, I'm not gonna take a break, but you should take a break. Michael needs to go do squats and push-ups. That was good. That's really that was perfect. Reg.body is a post /hash. Okay. And show me the server. Configure middleware is there. Yeah, it looks good too. Okay. Make this. I don't see where. I don't see where you set the body. Oh, they changed the layout now. You can now say JSON right there. Yeah, username and password. That looks good. Show me the headers. Yeah, application.json is the one that I wanted to see. I wonder if it's Postman that it's complaining. What line is it? Show me the command line, the console. I don't, okay. Scroll up, 841. Auth router, 841, okay. Scroll up a little bit. What is the error again? Cannot, keep going, keep going, keep going. What is the error? I don't see it. Oh, can you properly password only fine. Okay, cool. Let's go check it out. Oh, user info that password. That's the one that it's complaining about. User info that password. There you go. Save that. Let's go look at the terminal again. It's the same line. So line 8. Hash password, line 9. Yeah, but user info, like the body. Right. Yeah, we definitely want to change 9 to be hash because that's what you're getting on line 8. So it's not, if you want to change everything to hash password, then you change it everywhere. Okay, that's one error, but that's not the error that we're getting though. We're getting the one user info that password. Do a console log of the body of the user info. See why is that saying that it's not? It is as if the middleware is not. Show me the no. Just console log it first to make sure that we're having a problem. It looks like the middleware is not working. Save that. Let's try it out. And see what we get. User info is undefined, so your middleware is not working. Let's go check out the middleware stuff. It's either that or Postman is just not doing its thing. Configure middleware. Double click on configure middleware on line 3. Require that. Configure middleware.js. Passing it the server. Then using the router. Oh, look. Look. Line 2. What do you have on line 2? API router has the middleware ran again, ran before that. So do you have express.json? So your problem is, well, you know what the problem is now. So, oh, wait a minute. I don't think you can speak at all. So what do you think the problem is now that you saw that? You can unmute. Not gonna fix it yet. You haven't solved the problem.
Sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. I am really not sure. I think I've gotten myself turned around at this point.
Yeah. First of all, if I was doing a code review with you, I would say let's clean it up a little bit. Give me a space between line 2 and line 3.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we got express between line 1 and line 2 first. There you go. So now we have a library space, and then we have the stuff that we bring in. Don't give me the space there. That's good. Now, this is the API router. Okay, you're requiring that. And then give me a space between 4 and 5. Make it pretty. Separate the things so it's easy to parse, right? Now I'm saying, okay, I'm importing the router and the configure middleware. Now give me a line between 6 and 7. I created my server, and then my next step should be to configure the middleware before I try to use it on the API router. So if you do a space between 8 and 9, space is free, and it's a really short file. but you can see your concerns. I bring in the libraries at the top, then I bring in my imports, things that I created and I'm exporting manually. Then I create the server, then I go into the middleware, and then I go into the routes. And then at the end, I export. Save that, and I think that should work because now the configure middleware is running before you try to use the body. And that is something else. I don't know what's going on there. Let's go check it out. Did we have, oh, wait a minute. What is that thing that I see online? Those characters, the quotes, they look weird. Why are they like that? That should be the character. Here we go. So I would replace all of them. Select one of them and just do Control D, Control D, Control D. So I just replace all of them. Just Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D. All of them, all of them, all of them. Keep going, keep going. All right, now change that. And then find the, yeah, go back one. There you go. And then do the same thing at the end with the other one. It's faster, I guess. I wonder if there's more code like that has those weird characters.
I think what happened is that this error was what was causing the problem initially, but when I couldn't solve it, someone had suggested changing this again, and I just copied and pasted, and so it was pulling the characters directly from the board, and so they weren't correct.
Yeah, save it and let's try it. Let's see if that fixes the problem. There you go. Oh, this is, we have that somewhere else. Let's go check out somewhere else. There may be another copy and paste that is killing you. Do you copy and paste any other code anywhere?
Don't think so.
All right, so server, copy it from my drop because I'm gonna drop it as a code snippet, so it shouldn't have that problem. That's the server.js. Let's do the API router because I know there is something in there. And I'm not sure what it is. What else did we change? Configure middleware. I don't think we changed that. I don't want to risk it. Let's try it. So we have the server, API and auth router. I don't think we changed anything else for now. Is the server running?
You have minus server, not equal server.
Line 3? What's on line 3? On API router. Ah. So click on, oh man, this is so annoying. I think the space. So click on line 3. and backspace. The backspace. Save that. Let's see if the error changes to another line. Line 5, yeah. So yeah, eliminate all those. There is a special character that was added in there. So that's also happening now with the, oh, it's kind of annoying. 16, line 16, the same. I figure that when you're, that shouldn't happen if you do it from the code snippet. That is very strange. That's probably going to happen on all of the other files. Yeah, that's still the problem with the other files.
Right. I can go and fix. I don't want to hold everyone up for that kind of error.
That is a very annoying error. It shouldn't happen when you're posting on using the code snippets. I don't know why it's happening. I have no idea. All right, so let's take 5 minutes, and then when we come back, we move into doing the login, which is the only one that we have. While let's take 7, so that really takes a couple of minutes to do that.
Couple different times because I had done this yesterday through the training kit. So let me make this bigger, sorry. So I assume obviously something in here is wrong.
What have you checked? What have you checked so far?
Well, it just says user information is not defined. So user information is required. So we're saying here, rec.body, and then we're doing the hash password. So then we're using the hash sync.
So if you double click on user information on line 8, does it highlight both?
Oops.
Double click on that word. It highlights it in 2 places, but
yes,
in the line that is giving you the error, which is line 10 now, it's not highlighting that. Why is that?
Honestly, I'm not sure right now. Like I said, I was so that was weird. I was trying to get caught up that I probably missed a bunch of steps. I'm sorry.
No, but look at the words. Why is it not highlighting all 3 of them? That means that the words are different. User information.
Hash password. Wait,
User information in line 8 and user information in line 12 are the same, because when you double click on them, they get highlighted. See that?
Yeah. So.
But then those 2 words are different from the stuff that you have there.
There's a typo on line 8.
I'm sorry, that's like really bad interference.
There you go. You have user information and user information. Those are 2 different words. It's a typo. It was missing an R on line 8. Doesn't have the R. It's got using information. Now they're all the same because you copied and pasted. So that's what the problem was. It was just a typo. Those are the best errors, by the way, when you just need to find the typo and that's it. Let's see where we are. Okay, 7 minutes gone. Let's go back. The weird spaces made it work. Nice. All right. So See, mine runs now. Okay, good. Okay, we are on post. Let's go. Now we need on the auth, right? We have the auth router. We have the register is good. We're hashing the password, but we need to do the login now. And on the login, we're reading the username and the password from the body. And then we're trying to find the user by the username. Okay. And then once we find it, we check, did we find the user? And if we did not find the user, then we're saying invalid credentials, meaning, you know, I couldn't find the user by the username. I'm not gonna tell you the problem is the password, the problem is the username. I'm gonna tell you, you don't have the right credentials. Now, if I find the user, I'm returning welcome user. Now, we know that this is not checking for the password, so it doesn't matter whether I pass the password or not. We go in here and say login, passing, you know, full bar. Hit that, it's gonna tell me not credentials, but if I pass Joe though, even though I'm not using the right password, it's telling me welcome Joe, because it's not checking for the credentials. So what we wanna do is in here somewhere, say, okay, you found the users. Now, before I say, yeah, it's okay, you're good to go, I'm gonna check that the password is valid, okay? So we have this example here using, because I changed it now to use the hash, which is asynchronous. Down here, we're gonna use the synchronous method. So you have both. I was gonna do it backwards, but that's fine. Okay. Now, there is a compare function that Bcrypt has, and it's gonna take a password guess, whatever people are sending you, and then the hash that you have on the database. So we need to check for that. We're gonna say, hey, if I have the user, but also I wanna make sure that the password is valid. So if the user is good, I found the user by the username and Bcrypt that compare, I'm gonna do a sync, so I can do it here in line. And then I'm gonna compare the password that you're giving me, this one right here. Okay, the first argument, order is important here. Gotcha, order is important. The first one is the plain text one. So this is the password you're giving me. I'm gonna compare that to the hash that I have on the database. Let me open up a thread here and say, you know, where can I find that hash? What do you think? Thread it. Because this one's the hash now. Where is it? How to reply? Yeah, exactly. The user that I just got from the database, right? I could go and say user that password, that would be the hash. I already checked that I found the user, so I grabbed the hash from the user account. Now, if that is true, then you're good to go. Otherwise, whether I did not find the user or the password is invalid, I'm still gonna give you the invalid credentials error. Okay. So if this is working in theory, I should be bounced. Tell me, oh, this is username Joe. Oh, did I misspell or broke something in there somehow? Let's see, password. Yeah, right here. User that password. Well, that's good. Shouldn't have an error. Should just tell me a 401 unless there's something else. Let's go check out the terminal and see what's going on there. Huh, nothing. Maybe it was in the middle of something. Hey, wait a minute. What? No, no, no. Definition of insanity. Keep sending and sending and sending, assuming that that's gonna fix it. So let's run it again, just in case something got bonkers in the database or something. Hey, wait a minute, let me check my users. Yeah, we have Joe. Joe is in there. So I'm still not sure why I'm getting an error that is not even showing up on the terminal. Let's discard one path. So if we do pass. That should work, right? Oh no, my database is broken somehow. What is that? Anybody see a typo anywhere in there? Anything weird? Username, password, user, password. Okay, let's see what the error is. Oh, wait a minute. Am I doing a? Yeah, this is a login.
You don't select for password and find by in your database model.
Am I what?
In user's model, you do
Uh-huh.
not select password. You only select ID and username.
Oh, am I thou? Oh, good. That means that find by ID. Oh, find by. Here we go. Oh, yes. Thank you. That's a good. That was gonna be a nasty one. Let me see if there was an easy way of doing this or finding this. I was gonna do the following, right? Let's see. Let's say, you know what? Give me the error so that I could take a look at it. Save that. Do this. Then get the error. Now this is gonna tell me something that should be useful, right? String undefined. Aha. Comparing illegal arguments. So I need to know that one of those was gonna be undefined. There you go. Excellent. So, finally, when I changed this morning to remove the password, I broke it. Okay, so that illegal argument would have told me one of those two things is undefined, either the body on the request that body, the password on the body, or the password coming back from the database. And this is going to take us, I guess you ran into that before, to this password being missing here. I guess I could just remove the select, make it simpler. There you go. And that should work. And if we do par, that should fail, invalid credentials. So a couple of things to fix here. First, on the user model, just remove the select on this line, right, on the find by, so that it's not selecting without the password. That should fix it. And then on the router, what we're doing is calling the compare sync, passing it the user password and the password that we get from the body. And that's it. And that is your login right there. So let's see. Let's do a yes, no. Can log in. That is not, unless the model, unless you broke something. This is what it looks like on the find by now. It's the only change on the model, so it shouldn't break the register at all. Make sure to save it. And we haven't touched the register. So if it was working, it should continue to work. By the way, don't change anything else other than the find by here on the model. Should be doing the login, right? So you're not registering, you're logging in. The login /API/login. Oh, it's like you don't have this link. So at the end of class, can we cover conceptually how to let our users encrypt passwords on the front end? Nope, never a good idea. We're not gonna cover it at all. Because you don't encrypt on the front end. The code on the front end is available. And you never wanna encrypt passwords. Passwords are hashed, which is a one-way process. It is the responsibility of the API to guarantee that the password is hashed. Now, if you wanted to hash it on the front end too, then you're gonna have a problem. Because the database needs to be able to verify the password. How do you think it verifies the password? What it does is it takes the original password, hashes it again under the same circumstances on the server, and then checks the two hashes. So the server needs to have the control of the salt that is added to the password. So if you try to do that on the client and you pre-hash it there, you're always going to have a different hash every time. There is no way that the server can verify it now. So the hashing has to happen on the server. The problem is, oh, but I'm sending plain text passwords now on the over the wire. Yes, but you are encrypted that connection. That should be over HTTPS. You never use a production software over HTTP. So the question is, yeah, but the problem is that then I'm transmitting my password and everything else in between my server can see the password. Yes, but this is why you're using HTTPS. Here's the problem. Let's say that you want to encrypt it. Encrypted is a two-way process. Encrypted is going to need a secret. If you want to encrypt it on the client, now you have to have on the client, you need to have the secret. At some point, you need the secret to be able to encrypt with that, to encrypt with that secret. That's it. That's way more dangerous than just sending it, because now you're giving your encryption key. I'm pretty sure there may be systems that have a lot more security than this, but I personally haven't worked with anything that tries to do encryption or anything with secrets and security on the client. It's not on web applications where the code is always on the client and it's always visible. No matter how you see it, it's encryption, hashing, all of that security stuff, it's a server concern. I'm not saying that there may not be other things, layers upon layers on top of layers, but as far as I know, HTTPS and it's what I've seen so far in all the systems that I've worked. Looks like everybody's good to go. So let's take 5 minutes again, right? Because we're done basically with the login and the registration. That's about what we're gonna do today, other than a piece of middleware. So now, when we come back after the break, we're gonna take, and we may leave that for tomorrow, but we're gonna do a quick middleware here, 10 minutes maybe, so that we do the verification on the middleware instead of doing that verification on the login only, right? I wanna protect, right now, the way that we have it, we can always go without logging in, we can always go with our username and password and check out the users. We wanna protect that endpoint, and then that's the end of the lecture for today. If we have any extra time, then we could probably talk a little bit, 10, 15 minutes about testing. So see you in 5. There you go. Welcome back. So the goal of having users is that people can log in and we can restrict access to some of the endpoints. Again, we have the issue that the user's endpoint is totally open. So if I go to /API/users, do a get, and I see the users. I want to restrict it. You have to be logged in. So that's going to happen better tomorrow and the day after. So today we're going to do something simple, which is I want anybody coming to this endpoint to send me the username and password. Send me the credentials. I'm gonna have people send me those credentials as a header, okay? And then I'm gonna check for those credentials in the headers. This is not gonna be the final solution. This is gonna be something temporary so that we can practice creating that middleware. Cool? All right. This middleware, the way that I plan to use this middleware is in the router, in the user's router. I want to restrict this and say something like requires auth. Okay, local middleware requires auth. We don't have it, so we need to create that piece of middleware. So we're gonna bring in const requires auth. It's gonna be equal to, and we're gonna require this piece of middleware from somewhere. We are inside of the users. Gonna get out of there. I'm going to the auth folder, and there we're gonna create a requires auth middleware. Yes, I don't mind long file names. So let's go in here and create that. That's the name of it. And this is going to be, of course, a piece of middleware, module.exports, sending back a piece of middleware request, response, and next. And what we want to do in this middleware is check for the credentials, only that they're not going to be, where's my auth router? It's going to be similar to the login, right? We're going to grab this, kind of copy it, bring it down to the middleware. Cool. Why is it so similar? Well, remember that we're going to be using it here as requires auth. So I'm going to read the username and password, but instead of the body, since this is a get, I cannot read from the body on the get. So instead, we're going to read from the headers. Simple. Now we can send them in the headers, even if it's a get request. Going to do the same check. Going to check. Say, okay, if the password is valid, what do we do now? Well, if the password is valid, instead of returning from the middleware, I want to let the request continue to the endpoint. So I'm going to call next. Now, if there's a problem authenticating the person, the user, the client that is coming in, then I'm going to return from the middleware itself before it gets to the endpoint. So I am going to send out for one from here. And even the errors, I'm going to log them in and send back the errors. So the middleware is like your gatekeeper now. This gatekeeper is going to check those credentials on the headers. Because it is a GET request, we need to do it on the headers instead of the body. Cool. Now let's see if we didn't break anything first. So we should be able to go in here and tell me, yeah, we definitely broke something. Oh yeah, the users. Apparently we are using the users here. Yeah, of course we are. Let's copy it. Let's bring in the users. Error during development. I wonder what else am I missing there. So if I am inside of auth, I need to step out and go into the users. Not users, but users. And then grab the user model from there. Save that. Am I using bcrypt? Yeah, we definitely use bcrypt too. So we need to grab that bcrypt. From the auth router, let's borrow that. Save that. What else are we using here? I think we're good. That's it. Let's try it out. And yeah, no, we still have something missing. What are we missing now? Username, where? Username, ta, and ta. Yep, okay, that's good. Excellent. So the error that we're getting is because we're not sending the headers. So this is a good error, okay? We're trying to find the username by the username, but we're not checking that we have it. So we're going to check. We're going to say, hey, do I have username, and do we have a password? If I don't, then in here, I'm going to say res.status, but it's not going to be a 500 anymore. It's going to be a 400 now. I'm going to say, hey, it's your problem, you know, and the message in that case is going to be, please provide credentials. Okay. Now, let's close all this to have more space. Please provide the credentials. But if you do give me the credentials, now I'm going to try to validate that stuff. So if I have a username and password, I'm going to be validating it. If I don't have a username and password, then I'm going to bounce it and blame you. Hey, 400, give me credentials. If I run into an error myself, then it's going to be a 500. It's like, I haven't, oh, this should be an object that has a message too. Run into an error at the database. Please try later. Here we go. So let's try it out. Please provide credentials. Now, I am sending the credentials in the header, so it's not going to be in the body. It's not here. It's going to be in the header on this side. Now, we need to have a username, Lisa, and we also need to pass a password. Password of pass. With an extra S, it's going to tell me invalid credentials, but if we pass a pass, now we get the list. Okay. So review, let's do a quick review of this. We have the requires middleware that we're using on the user's router. So our user's router is using the requires auth that we just required on here from that middleware, right? It's a piece of middleware that we create in the auth folder, okay? Requires auth middleware. Now, on the middleware itself, though, we are exporting a function, a middleware function. It's reading the password and the username for the headers. It's checking if you have them. If you don't, then it's sending you back a 400 saying, please give me the credentials. And if you do provide them as the headers, then we check. This is the same check that we were doing in the login, with the difference that this is now middleware. So if everything is successful, you just call next so that the request can continue to the router. Again, we've done middleware thousands of times. No, not thousands, but a few times before. There's nothing different than this, just a local middleware that needs to call next if everything is good. Otherwise, it's producing a response according to what happened. And it works flawlessly, right? Now, your turn. There was a question there. I just answered it. And now we have protected our endpoint. Yeah, whatever the question is, so is it up to the front end to put the, yes, it is up to whatever client is connecting to our API. If it wants to authenticate with us, has to send the username and password as part of the headers, those particular headers. Yeah, this is not how it's gonna end. Tomorrow we're gonna change this when we learn about sessions. But for now, it's just to get you into the feeling that normally when you do the way that you do authentication on Express is by having a middleware that you use in front of whatever routers you're gonna. Doesn't have to be inside of this router. Okay, this thing could be for all of the endpoints on the user's route. And in that case, you moved it somewhere else so that we only have one endpoint, so we're doing it manually on this endpoint. But authentication is going to happen normally through middleware this way. Middleware is going to check before providing access. Tomorrow you'll know why you didn't have to do it in BuildWig. If you were using cookies for authentication, it happens automatically. You'll see. If they were using tokens though, they asked you to store a token somewhere, probably local storage, and then send back the token with every request. We're gonna see that on Thursday, the server side part of it. Good question. What? Everybody's done? Don't believe it. I don't believe it. All right. Looks like everybody's done. That's the lecture right there. I mean, we have 9 minutes to go. I may not be able to talk about testing much, so I might just leave that for maybe tomorrow or the day after. I mean, I could get started and give you, at least get you into the mindset of testing, okay? Unless we have more questions. Do you have any more questions in there? Figure what out? I don't see the question there. Did I miss it? I don't see your question. Oh, I thought that question was answered. I saw a question there, like where did the requires auth came from? Someone had said he created it, and then I showed it too. You may have missed it, but I showed it too. It requires auth, you require it, and then we created it, and then we went and explained it again one more time, and then one more time. So if that was the question, I created a file, and I'm requiring this here before I use it. Right here. And now you have your answer. This is so can I explain the requires middleware? It's a middleware file, exports a function, and it's exactly the same. This is the same one that we create in every cohort, because you saw it already. Because last time around you saw that same file. So you're exporting a function, a middleware function, and it's taking the code that we had on the login and changing this. Whenever we get to the success on the login, we're just calling next. And we check username and password. Check if we have a username and password on the headers. And if we don't, then we send back, say, please give me the credentials. If we do, we do the exact same check that we were doing in the login. With this is the only difference. right here. Those are the two changes, basically. So there's a question about the create new session and all that. That's great. That means that you were reading the challenge for the afternoon and you got to the create after we cover the lecture on sessions and cookies, which is tomorrow. After that, then you're going to use them to record the logged in user requests. So this is a 2-day project that you start today, creating the basic endpoints, right? But then after we cover that lecture tomorrow, at the end of tomorrow, then you could do the sessions and cookies. Nothing's stopping you though from watching the videos and see if you can figure it out today, which is better. But you're not expected to finish that today. So that's a great question. And of course, we have a stretch problem there for you. So for today, it's simple. You're going to create the register, login, and use. Oh, wait a minute. Those are already created. We already have it on the project that we built in the morning. So what you would probably do is use that time to practice the stuff that you're still a little, not sure how middleware works. Not sure how the router works. Not sure how the database migrations work. Well, time to practice them from scratch, right? And the idea here is that, like, I want you to put in the reps. You're going from, the only thing that you're not doing is the npm init. I mean, the git init, then npm init, installing all the libraries that you're going to use, creating the routers, all of that you can practice. Take the time to practice. Create the migration for the users, okay? Create the database by running the migrations. Don't need to seed anything. Seeding is not important for this project because you're going to be registering users using the post endpoint and encrypting the passwords as part of that, right? Hashing the password, not encrypting it. So seeding is not required. Okay. Now for the content of the day though, you can reference the code that we created in the morning. Don't copy it, try to create it, but should be a day for practice. Practice, practice, practice. Tomorrow you continue and you get to practice a little more, maybe practice on React. Okay, cool. Everything about the sessions, remember, after tomorrow. What else? And Jess is what we're gonna, what you used for the front end, for testing the front end. This is what we're gonna use for the testing the back end too, in combination with another tool. But tomorrow or Wednesday, probably Wednesday, we may have a little extra time maybe, and we want to do an introduction before we hit the testing on the server on Friday. Introduction to testing basic functions, unit testing at the core without React and without backend, just testing logic. That's it. If you don't have any more questions, wait. What do I wait for? Okay, the question is, you're gonna mute.
So when I went through the process last time, you started earlier with the testing, like that Thursday. Are you going to start earlier with the testing each day? Because I may not be able to make it. I'm wondering if you do, could you record it?
No, we're not gonna. I'm gonna try to build, instead of doing, the question she's asking is, last cohort we ran into the same issue. It's been so long before the testing, so that we did a quick introduction, but we did it 1 hour before the lecture. Instead, I want to, it was like 30 minutes anyways. I want to build it into the regular lectures. I don't know if tomorrow we'll have time, but it may be Wednesday that we may have time to take 20, 30 minutes to do the introduction, but it's not going to be something that you have to be extra early. That's the plan, at least. If we can't do it, then I'll probably do that in the afternoon on Wednesday. See if I can find a spot, and then we record it so that anyone can watch it later. Yeah. We do have lectures and recordings of that too. So if in the worst case scenario, I could just point you to those recordings too of the lectures before. Those were longer though. So. That's it. So go practice. And see you on Slack. I'm monitoring the help channel too. So see you there.